So, hello everyone. I am delighted to be speaking with Chelsea Kerzner, who is many, many things, but for the purpose of today's conversation, she is the co founder of Magic Molecule,
Mhm.
which I have to show you is a product that I swear by. I have to get the minis. I saw, it's like, I'm gonna get it.
Well, honestly, we launched with the minis and we don't sell them individually anymore, and people are really upset about it, but I'll tell you more about that to
Oh,
come.
well, we'll get all into it because I am, this thing is anyway, I'm obsessed. I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan. So it's such an honor to be talking to you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
So I wanted to actually talk about Magic Molecule because it's so simple, but
Yes.
so kind of radical too in a way. So like, what even inspired it? How did you get started? Where did this idea come from?
Gosh. So honestly, it goes back to COVID, like first summer 2020. My husband and I were really sort of panicking about the shortage of disinfectants and just ways to keep ourselves healthy and clean at the beginning of a global pandemic. And we were like, okay, there's got to be a better solution to using like an alcohol sanitizer on your hand.
Unintended.
And it was, it was like we were washing our hands constantly and we were using hand sanitizer constantly, and my skin was like it just wreaked havoc on my skin. And not to mention everything was sold out, so you couldn't get anything anywhere. And I had come across hypochlorous acid um, when I had been teaching many moons ago at SoulCycle, and it really helped cleanse my skin in between teaching multiple classes a day. Because, as you can imagine, living in New York City, if you're teaching 3 to 4 classes a day, you don't want to just be like in the shower all day long because your skin's going to dry out. So, I had come across hypochlorous acid and I loved it. And we kind of sat down, and my husband and I are serial entrepreneurs, and we have built and failed at, I should say, many businesses. And we sort of put our heads together that first COVID summer and said, okay, let's dive a little bit deeper into what this molecule is and the many use cases for it. And we just started putting, pedal to the metal because everything was so accelerated in that time. So we found an incredible manufacturer who we partnered with, who has who had developed a patented hypochlorous acid generator over a decade ago, that allowed us to deliver the purest and most efficacious hypochlorous acid in the United States. Because we were like, if we're going to do this, we need to do it right. Like it can't just be kind of like has all of the bells and whistles of a pretty brand but doesn't actually work. And so once we found the supplier, we just like hit the ground running on creating the brand. And yeah, here we are.
So it was only since COVID. I mean, you guys have,
Yeah.
it's blown up.
Yeah. So we didn't actually officially launch the brand until, geez, when was it? January of 23. Yeah, because it was like 5 or 6 months before we had our daughter, we launched the brand. So it's still new. I mean, we just celebrated 2 years like 6 months ago.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's amazing how so. I'll tell you a little story. I brought this home for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, this is such a." I showed my husband, "This is so cool! Like, check it out." And he looked at it, and he's like, "Oh, hypochlorous acid. That's what I use for my finger." So he had a traumatic finger injury. He almost lost his finger, and it was really bad. He's fine now,
Okay.
thank God. But when he would like during the healing process, his doctor just gave him that and he had it in like a squeegee bottle. It was not. It was
Hmm.
literally just like medical grade. Just
Yep.
not something you could buy at CVS. They just gave it to him from the hospital, and I was like, that's so cool. So they took this like medical product and you made it sexy, you made it cool, and it's clearly really strong, like it's efficacious enough for him to use after surgery, but I also, can use it on my kids. So how is it, like, what is so magical? Like, what is this exactly? Like, how is it so strong yet so safe?
Okay, buckle up.
Yeah.
So,
I like to get into the science. So
yeah, and let me preface this with saying I am not a scientist and I am not a product chemist. However, I have been fully immersed in this product for the past 2 years. Um, But what I will say first and foremost is that your body naturally produces hypochlorous acid. So when we talk about what the spray is and why it is so fantastic when you use it on the skin and topically, it's because it's really one of the few things that your body and your skin organically recognize because it's produced from within. So actually, I don't know if I mentioned, but we have FDA clearance. And what that means is that we are categorized as a wound cleanser. So when I hear you talk about your husband almost losing his finger, I'm like, yes, that makes perfect sense because this is in the category from the FDA as a wound cleanser. Now, being a fellow mom like yourself, you know that you're using this on your nicks and your scrapes and your, little skinned knees that you have. So anytime there's any damage to the skin, be that uh, a paper cut or a pimple or just any like mysterious rash that comes up, this is the go-to because, like I said, it's what your body recognizes. When you get a cut or a scrape, this is what your white blood cells are pushing to the wound to help your body naturally repair the skin. So we just bottled it. And it's been around for years. Like you said, your husband got this in a syringe. Like this is not a new product. It's not a novel thing. It's just it has historically been extremely volatile and extremely hard to stabilize in a bottle. And it hasn't been, honestly, until a decade ago that we found the technology to actually bottle this, keep it shelf stable, keep it from being this volatile product that it had historically been.
is really cool. Yeah, because I was like, whoa. I mean, there's so many uses.
So many.
I go through your Instagram and it's like you can use it for this. Have you tried it for that? So I have one in like all of our rooms. My 3-year-old comes home now and he's 3. He's a 3-year-old boy, so he has cuts and scrapes daily.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Mama, can I have the magic spray?" So cute.
I hear that all day long. My daughter will come to me, Mama, pray it. Mama, pray it. She wants to spray everything. It's really cute.
And it works. I mean,
It works.
days his scrape will be gone, and then
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even wearing foundation, just makeup here, but like I want to show you, this was 2 days ago. Oh, and I wanted to ask you, like, if I have a pimple, I just spray it over my whole face. Is that weird?
Yeah, spray it everywhere. So I will say this, when it comes to the routine of things, because this is a strong product, it can destabilize your actives. So your vitamin C's or your retinols or even your sunscreen. So when you're using this in your skincare routine, it's always your first step. So I like to say this, you get out of the shower and you towel off. A lot of times we are not towel drying with a perfectly sterile towel. So maybe there's like a little bit of makeup residue on it, or like maybe there's mold, maybe it's a moldy towel and there's some bacteria growing on it. You want to spray your face, and honestly, I spray my whole body. I spray my body after I shave, I spray my armpits to kill bacteria, I spray my face to kill bacteria, and then you have to let it fully dry. So I'm talking like minimum 30 seconds to let it absorb, let it dry, and then you can move on with your skincare routine. If you want to be spraying it throughout the day, that's totally fine. Just know that for things like if you're putting on your skincare in the morning and you go right to your vitamin C and then you spray this over it, you are completely rendering your vitamin C inactive. So this always has to be first.
Good to know. Okay,
Hmm.
that's cool.
Yeah.
What are there? I mean, like I said, on your Instagram, there's all of these fun things like, oh, I didn't know I could use it for that or
Hmm.
whatever. So I have like pimples and rashes. I love what you're saying after the shower. What's like a really fun, unexpected, another one that like,
Ooh, unexpected. I mean, I'm in such a summer mindset right now, and we're on the East Coast, so we just have like mosquitoes galore. So anytime I have a bug bite, I'm spraying it. One of our like biggest performing ads was a true story that I told, which was it was the day before my husband and my wedding, and it was summertime, and I was covered in bug bites, and I was like, how am I going to walk down the aisle with my arms covered in bug bites? I'm going to look ridiculous. And I happened to have a lab sample on me because we were still in product development, and I used it, and I woke up the day of my wedding and they were gone. Like there was still like a little bit of residual raised skin, but I mean, I looked like I had been attacked by bugs because I was, and the next day it was virtually gone. So that's my biggest use case right now. I like it for diaper rash. I really do. I like it a lot for diaper rash. Um,
I was
I
about
joke that, go
actually.
ahead.
I have a 6 month old, so I want to ask if
Yeah.
it's good for her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
totally
she
fine for
has
her.
some skin, like babies. I'm not sure if it's
Baby
allergic.
acne, yeah. Baby acne, it's great for that. It's
So
the
yeah,
best product for like the most sensitive of skin types because, like I said, it's produced in your body. So you're not going to have an adverse reaction to it.
that's super cool. Okay, I'm gonna use it on her too. I
It's the
specifically
best.
wanted to ask you, babies, is that okay?
Oh yeah, babies,
The
huge use
miracle
case.
thing. So we are specifically a non-toxic platform. That's what we focus
Hmm.
on in all of our research. And so I'm always reading ingredients and stuff. And when I look at these ingredients, it's literally just water and
Hmm.
course acid. Um, I mean, so wait, sodium chloride, like
Hmm.
0.06%, hypochlorous acid, it's mostly water. So
Yeah,
can you
it's
like
mostly water.
explain to us kind of the chemical makeup? Because it would be remiss to not bring up, kind of like what makes this
Yeah, of
non-toxic.
course. So it's essentially water and salt, and we use the purest water that we can get in our manufacturer's office. And then there's an electrical current that gets sent through it, which turns it into hypochlorous acid. And that is literally as basic as it gets. I do want to flag, we're not the only hypochlorous acid brand around. Hypochlorous acid in the past year has become like the new hyaluronic acid. Everyone wants to produce it. Everyone is trying to turn it into a product. However, I can't speak to the efficacy of other brands because we're the only brand with FDA clearance. And I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about the FDA, rightfully so. It's a hard administration to trust, but being on the producing end of a product that is subject to such strict and rigorous testing and rules, it makes me very confident not only in our product, but it makes me extremely skeptical of other brands who are not subject to those regulations because it is actually really easy to make. You could make it in your own house, and people do. However, there's no telling how stable it is. There's no telling if it's balanced correctly, and there's no telling if it actually works. So a lot of these things could just be salt water. You could have sent the electrical current through it and it did absolutely nothing, and it is not hypochlorous acid. You might see other brands that scent it. You cannot scent hypochlorous acid, or else it completely deems the product unstable and it is not hypochlorous acid anymore. So we will never scent. There will never, ever, ever be anything added to the formulation. It is just this. Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. And yeah, like the FDA, I mean, you see it also that term kind of thrown around a lot, like an FDA regulated facility or whatever, and people can slap that on. My husband works in the supplements industry, and so that's,
Yes.
like it's all over the place.
It's hard.
But it also, like you said, it means that you have had to go through these stricter regulations, and it's a medical product
Yeah,
essentially.
it is. It's a medical grade product. That's exactly right.
So moving on then to, I want to talk a little bit about like the business overall. You said you work with your husband. What's that
Mhm. What a great and loaded question.
like?
Um, it's funny. It's a good timing that you're asking me this because he and I actually just recorded an episode together on my podcast last week, and we were talking primarily about what it's like to be business partners. And we have been together for 12 years, and for 11 of those 12 years, we have been building brands together. And not all of them as exact equals and business partners, but we have been so committed to supporting one another in every single endeavor that we embark on as a couple or personally. And what it comes down to is that we just have such a deep respect for one another. Um, but it's tough because we are both very creative. He is extremely logical. He approaches everything in life from a black and white lens. There is no gray area in his life. And that makes it really easy for him to make decisions. Um, but because we're both creative, that's typically where we end up butting heads. But because we have that foundation of respect for one another, it ends up being very easy to tackle whatever disagreement or obstacle we may have when it comes to family decisions, business decisions, and everything in between.
Do you have kind of a separation between family and business, or is it all the time?
You know, I think if you would have asked me that question 2 years ago, I would have said no. It's just all business and we are okay with that. I think since we became parents, it became really clear that what really matters in life is your friends and your family. And the people that you surround yourself with are going to build you up if you take care of them. And we didn't want our busyness with work to cast a shadow on how important it was for us to show up for the people in our lives. So, I mean, very candidly, I took a colossal step back from Magic Molecule when I became a mom. And it wasn't because I didn't believe in the brand and I didn't believe in the product, but I needed to step into my role as a mother wholly and give myself to that. And I didn't have the capacity that my husband does to balance multiple things. So yeah, it's been a change of pace over the past 2 years for sure. But we also are growing so quickly, which is incredible. You want the growth, but it requires a lot of planning and a lot of quick shifting of parts.
Yeah, as a working mom myself, I can relate.
Yeah,
And
you get it.
it's tough. And I feel like for me at least, I always feel like I'm lacking or failing sometimes in one area. I can't do both perfectly all the time, and I've kind of come to accept that. Um,
Hmm.
but I always love to hear from other working moms who seem to have it all together and they're just thriving, but
I
you're
most certainly do not have it all
and
together. I
and
can
that's okay.
promise you that.
No one has it done perfectly,
Oh,
but there's so much to learn from each one of us. And so
yeah.
you're doing Magic Molecule, you have your podcast, and
Hmm.
obviously you are a mom
Hmm.
and a wife. I mean, what does, how do you, I hate the word balance because I'm over this work-life balance
Yeah, it
concept.
doesn't exist.
Um, how do you kind of juggle everything, or like, do you have days or compartmentalize? Like,
Hmm.
what's your kind of framework for getting through everything?
So I will completely recognize my privilege in that I have help. And I have not only an incredibly supportive husband who is not only an amazing partner, but a spectacular and very involved dad. But I have a nanny, and she is such an extension of our family, and I would not be able to do a fraction of what I am able to do for myself on a business level and really for myself on a personal level without her. Um, so yeah, I think people are kind of like hesitant to publicly speak about the help that they have because not everyone is afforded that luxury. You know, it's and it's sad because we used to have these villages, you know, like we speak about the village so much, and it wasn't something that you had to seek back then. Like it was there, it was ingrained for you. It was, you were not alone in this. And we have become this society who is so focused on the nuclear family and being afraid to ask for help and being shamed if you ask for help. And I'm just here to say I have all of the help that I could possibly have. But I also don't have family around here. I live in New York City. My family is all back in Michigan. So, you know, I don't have the luxury of going to the grandparents for the weekend or calling on my mom to come over if I want to go have a dinner with my husband. So, in order for us to prioritize our marriage, which in my opinion is the most important thing in my life, because when that is good, everything else is good. And my daughter's life is spectacular. And without the help, those things just start to suffer. So I'm a huge advocate for help, and I am a huge advocate for finding help wherever you can.
I love that you said that, and I'm also smiling because you used a few words, you know, the village and the nuclear family, and I'm so passionate about that. I just wrote a blog, like a whole article talking about my personal story, because you're right, especially now with Instagram, and I mean everyone shows this like perfect life and they don't disclose all of like the
Hmm.
reality of what makes that happen. And I think that the nuclear, I mean, I wrote all about this because I've been thinking about it a lot. The nuclear family is really kind of detrimental in so many ways, and it has created this undue burden that's unnatural. And I mean, for me, I'm so lucky that I have so much family around. So it's yeah, I could not, yeah, it's impossible. I wouldn't be able to work if I
It's impossible. And
wasn't
nobody can.
having
And
it.
that's the reality, is nobody, you see a working mom, no working mom is able to be a working mom without help. It's just not possible. And if somebody is listening to this and is like, wait, I'm a working mom and I don't have help, you are a unicorn.
Yeah, call me. Let me
And
know how
and
you do
and
it.
step forward and
Yeah.
write a book and share your secrets. But like, it's not possible. It is not possible to be
Yeah.
doing all of these things. And honestly, uh, being a work, being a stay-at-home mom is still a job,
I was gonna say
and
if you're not working,
you
you need
should
to
have
feel
help
it.
too.
You
You
need to
should have help
feel
too.
it.
I say this all the time. My husband has an executive assistant, and that allows him to turn things off. And a mother should also be afforded an executive assistant. She
Absolutely.
should have help, whether it's a couple hours a week or, you know, full-time help. It doesn't matter. But we've turned into this society where we, and I think it's kind of coming off of the heels of like the girl boss era, which I loved, by the way. Like I loved that empowerment of like, you're a female, go chase your dreams. You don't have to just be at home. If you want to start a business, go start a business. But I think it kind of put us into this mindset of being like, okay, yeah, 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 I can do that. Chase, chase, chase. And then we start having kids and we're like, wait a second. Something inside of me is telling me to be home and I want to like lean into that, but I have to keep going and going and going because I built this thing and I don't want it to turn off. But that's where it's like, okay, where can I start to delegate? Where can I start to bring people in to help me operate this ship? Because it doesn't have to turn off. You just have to, you have to be willing to let people in and help you, or else you're not gonna make it.
Delegate. That was a hard one for me.
Hmm.
I feel before I had kids, I totally, oh, I can do it all, super mom. I went straight back to work after my first.
Hmm.
Don't recommend that at all. I won't do it
No.
again. After my second, though, I took time off, which I had to. I took a maternity leave. It was amazing. But I will say, holy shit, like being a stay-at-home mom is so much harder. I love my
It's
kids, but I
so
can't
hard.
wait to get back to work.
It is so incredibly
It's,
undervalued
oh my God.
and difficult.
It's
And until you go through it, you couldn't even possibly comprehend the ways in which it stretches you as a human being.
Amen to that.
Stay at home moms are superheroes,
Absolutely.
truly.
And I hope that with more conversation and more like openness about it, that we can all realize that we all need help, regardless of what.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't feel guilty for having that help.
Yeah, and it's so isolating too. Like we need to find more ways to bring the village back. And so I'm glad that that's part of
Absolutely.
the conversation. I'm glad that you're using that language, and I'm starting to see it come up more because I personally have realized how important it is.
So important.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then, okay, we'll move on then to just lifestyle in general. Again, this is like non-toxic, and when I had
Hmm.
kids, I really started to learn a lot more about not just what the products that I give my kids, but like now what do I put on myself and what am I using in my household. So like how does health and wellness kind of play into your daily life, and especially as someone with an insight on product development?
Hmm.
I always love to ask people like you these questions, like what do you look for when you're choosing?
Yeah. I'll start by saying it's a really slippery slope once you start reading labels and checking ingredients. And you have to embark on that lifestyle shift, we'll call it, with an open mind and saying that like you can only control so much. You can only be as non-toxic as you really have the bandwidth to be because non-toxic products can often be pretty expensive. And I think when I've always leaned to a more non-toxic lifestyle, but when I became a mom, that was when like this thing shifted in me where I was like, "Oh, I there's a couple areas in my life where I really need to clean up because I want to be around for her life healthy as long as I possibly can." And I didn't have her when I was 25. I wasn't a young mom. I had her right before I turned 33. And that's not to say that I was old, but the reality is I'm not getting any younger. And as she gets older, I want to have a health span that allows me to be active in her life. So things like I've cut out alcohol, really low lift thing to do. We honestly, I use this on everything. I really use this on everything. Not to, you know, pump the product, but I do. And I try to look at the back of anything I have, be it food or a cleaning product, and say, like, can I easily type these into Google and figure out what it is and if it's toxic? Like if I'm looking at the back of a product label and it's this big with a bunch of ingredients that I can't pronounce, chances are I'm probably just going to put it to the side. Like if it's littered with things, I don't have the time to be diving into that. So, yeah, I try to take a less is more approach, and I'm sure that's probably like the same way that you operate too.
Yeah, just like trying not to go crazy. I went a little bit crazy over the plastics thing, like realizing
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God,
everything
everything's using, even when I thought
everything
it
has
wasn't,
plastic.
like my blender or what, I mean, just
Hmm.
really did. I think that
Yeah.
was the most extreme thing. Um, but like you said, we're busy. I can't drive myself crazy. Let's not let perfection be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
And so
That's
I'm
a great line. And I will say about the microplastics thing, I heard a doctor recently talking about because it was like, okay, there was like the at one point, like in previous generations, it was like all about lead, and like we knew what that was doing to the body. And then I think there was like maybe asbestos was another one that was generational. And now, like, our generation is the microplastic generation. And what they have found, don't quote me on this, but what I heard a doctor say is that yes, we have a lot of microplastics in our bodies, but we don't yet know if it's doing any damage to us. They're basically just sitting there.
yeah. Yeah.
So like, and that's probably because it's new and we're sort of like the first generation to be made of plastic, but like we don't yet know what that means for us. So like it becomes really rage bait to talk about microplastics, but like the reality is there's just like not enough literature surrounding what the consequences of that are. So I try not to get really hysterical about that because it's in our clothing,
We just
it's
don't.
in our water, it's in our air, like it's everywhere. And that's where I say like you can't go down the slippery slope. You can only manage like this much, and then the rest you just have to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Like, I tell myself we're living longer than any generation.
For sure.
But whatever harm it's doing, everything else is accelerating. I try to
Yes.
put it in perspective. We have so many cures. Like people used to die from the measles. That's a
Yeah.
but random diseases that now you just can get a
I
telehealth.
mean, I talked about this on a recording that I did recently because I'm not having more children. And I talked about the reason that we used to have these massive families is because infant mortality rate was so high. Like people died so often and so young. And like we, knock on wood, and like thankfully, are just a much more realized and healthy generation. But with that comes the knowledge of like the bad things that come along with that. And I think that's where people kind of like get hysterical about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, and I interviewed a microplastics researcher, and what she said was interesting. The plastic itself, and that's what they're finding in our bodies, is inert. It's the chemicals that they wrap in the plastic.
Right.
So you use like BPA.
Those are like the forever chemicals. Yeah.
Exactly. You use it to make it like flexible or have different like
Right.
components or structures. And so, you can choose more safe plastics.
Yes.
Also things you don't heat your food and
I
things
was
like
just going to
that.
say, like, there's ways to use plastic mindfully. Like, you're not going to make a meal on the stovetop and then immediately transfer it to a plastic container.
Yeah. So there are things that we can control.
Absolutely.
So I try not to freak out too much,
Yeah.
but it is kind of annoying. But anyway, okay. So I
Well,
asked.
it's like everything, like when you're a mom, everything is so much more serious and everything is so scary because you have this little being to like do right by. But then I'm just like, okay, I'm doing my best. I'm doing
I'm
my
doing,
best.
and that's the best that we can do. Us being stressed is also not good for them. I
It's
tell
the worst.
them that too.
The worst.
Okay, so I ask everyone what their like three favorite mom products are. Obviously,
Hmm.
Magic Molecule. What are two others that you
Ooh.
buy?
Mom product that I'm using on her.
Is there anything that like has either made your life easier or that you think is just amazing, been great for her, been great for you?
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, great question. Okay. Obviously, Magic Molecule, that's my number one. I joke all the time that like it used to be when I was leaving the door, phone keys, wallet, and now it's Magic Molecule, phone keys, wallet. And like if I leave the house without a bottle, 100% of the time I'm going back. Like, I don't know, are you the type of person where like if you touch something dirty, psychologically you can feel it on your hand and like know that you need to wash your hands?
I
That
became
might be one of my quirks.
yeah, I never was, but now I am that way with my kids because my toddler is
Yes.
so dirty and
Yeah.
it's really crazy.
Right. So that's where I'm like, if I leave and I don't have like my clean on my hip, then I've got to go back. So like that's my number one. Um, this isn't necessarily a product, but this is like my big um mom hack, and it's solo lift.
I love mom hacks.
Whenever I go out, I'm bringing two things to entertain her because I am a screen-free mom and I don't judge anyone who uses screens. I think they do serve a time and a place. And some moms are just like, they need a minute. But I have one kid, so it's very easy for me to not give her a screen. Hers and tattoos.
Love it.
They will last forever. I have yet to find a really good non-toxic tattoo, which is driving me insane, but I'm picking my battles.
Okay. I
And then
love
my third is for me. I just, for the past month, have been using a morning and a night face oil from this brand called Bear House. It's called Rise and Rest Oil, and it has like literally changed my skin.
I've never even heard of
So
this brand.
yeah,
That's why I love asking
yeah.
you. Okay, cool. Bear oil.
Bear House,
Bear House.
Berhaus. I think that's right.
Bear House.
Something. I'll
Nice.
send it to you.
Yeah, please do. Okay, so then last and not least, probably
Yeah.
important, what words of wisdom would you go back and tell yourself before becoming a mom?
So oh man, I think about this all the time because I was so hard on myself that first year. I think I had very unrealistic expectations of what my first year as a mom was going to look like that did not align with what reality was. And I beat myself up about that a lot. So, and I think that's something that a lot of moms can relate to. So I just would go back and give myself a hug and say, you really have to stop abandoning your intuition. Stop listening to what Instagram is telling you and start listening to what your gut is telling you about how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your marriage, how to take care of your child, because you know every single answer to every single question that you are going to have, first and foremost. And you can supplement if you need help, but you have to trust your intuition.
I love that. Amen. Um,
Amen.
well, Chelsea, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. It has been
Thank
such
you.
a delight. This, again, everyone watching, I cannot recommend it more highly. It is amazing. I have one in every room. You can get 20% off. I have a code, it's my name. So I'm pitching it everywhere I go. I love this stuff. But yeah, absolutely a must have for all families. And Chelsea, you are amazing and
Thank
inspiration.
you so much. Thank you.
Time.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, well, take care and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.